joining us today. Anything you hear in this podcast is not to be taken for medical advice. This podcast is for information purposes only, and should you find something interesting in the information spoken about, please consult your physician further.
Hello and welcome to the Broken Road Podcast. I'm your host, Trent Peterson. Today I'm joined by Cory Jenkins. June is Men's Health Awareness Month, among multiple other awarenesses. But I brought Cory in because I feel like he can add a lot to this conversation. He's a pioneer and does a lot of things in the men's community. As far as I'm concerned, he may be a little bit bashful on it, but he does get out there and get dirty with the rest of them and does what it takes. And he's always been a mentor for me, especially when it comes to Christ and that brotherhood. He's taught me a lot, been there for me, and I'm very appreciative of it. So, good to see you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying not to get the mic, but
yeah, you're all right. So, I guess we can just start. Okay. I kind of gave a little bit of an introduction, but Tell us about you.
Like I said, my name's Cory Jenkins. I'm 52 years old. Been married to my wife, Christy, for 20 plus years. Got several kids, hers, mine, and ours, and we're just living the dream.
Yeah, cool. So, you recently wrapped up a project with Amber.
I did.
We've talked about that quite a bit off and on, and I have on social media and on the podcast. But that was huge for us and our family, for you to be able to step in there after I had my stroke, which we had kind of planned on that, and I do feel like that was divine intervention.
Right, yeah.
Because we had kind of been a little bit displaced before that and just happened to run into each other.
That tire store of all places.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, that was meant to be, because I just don't see that Amber could have gotten the project done without you. So I know if she was here, she would give a lot of thanks to you and your family. I know you spent a lot of time out there.
Yeah.
So I gotta thank Christy as well for giving you to us.
Yeah.
To help us get that done. I'm gonna look at my notes here, but so now that you're done with that, that's passed. I'm sure you're catching up. What have you been doing?
As far as like just trying to catch up on all the things on the homestead that I just put on the back burner. I hate starting a project and not being able to finish it, so a lot of things just got undone, just left. So we're starting that back up, and Mom will be happy.
So when you say homestead, I mean, for the audience that doesn't know, I mean, how far are we talking about homesteading here? I mean, where are you at, and what is the goal? I guess I know it's a never-ending project when you have a ranch.
We bought 18 acres of undeveloped land, probably 3.5, 4 years ago, and literally until last year, I did not have a well. Literally hauled water, and it was homesteading. Literally, we built the roads, took out the trees, put cabins on it. Lived in a camper for 2 years, and it's a different way of being, and it helps me focus more on what's important.
Totally agree with that. I've been kind of pushing that. Whenever I had the stroke, it's probably one of the biggest things that changed in my life was, what's important. And yes, I mean, there is a point. We do got to make that money. I talk about this and grind that all the time. But getting loose from financial debt's huge.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we couldn't do what we're doing if we weren't debt free.
Right.
And, people talk about, Dave Ramsey and all that, and being debt free and the freedom to say no.
Right.
Like, don't want to, don't have to. And when I say debt free, we are completely and totally debt free. No mortgage, no truck payments, all we have is living expenses. So it's quite freeing.
Right. No, I can only imagine. We're getting close to that point. We're not there yet. But I think that's a good point to make for young men coming up, which is kind of, it's part of the reason why I want you to come on, was to motivate them to get to that point eventually, to know that having the coolest truck or, the biggest house, or making enough money that you can just spend it, just however you want.
Right.
And doing that is not necessarily all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
And eventually you're going to pay your debt in time, and your age is going to catch up with you. So
sometimes sooner than later, huh?
absolutely. Yeah. I wasn't planning on the change in my life. Fortunately, I feel like God was kind of leading me ahead a little bit, and I was setting some things in motion right there at the end before that happened, that allowed me to be in a better position when it did happen.
Right.
But I had no idea why I was doing all that, why I was relieving debt and pushing so hard to get that done in a quick motion. But praise God, I did.
Amen to that.
I really almost could jump across with what we're talking, but I'm gonna go ahead and go on to the next question.
Okay.
Since I've known you, I've been involved in a couple projects with you, but you've always used the term sheepdog.
Yes.
And that hits home to me, but can you describe that or explain what that is and why that's important to have that in today's society?
To me, and like I said, this is the loose translation of Cory through years of experience and just being who I am. A sheepdog is something, y'all have, a farm here, and y'all have guardian dogs and livestock dogs. Most people don't even pay attention to them because their job is to just watch and observe, and their job only truly comes into play if bad things are starting to happen. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, they're laying out underneath the shade tree, but they're always watching, they're always observant, they're always paying attention to the lesser. And I say the lesser not to be derogatory or anything like that, but to me, I find people that don't quite understand what's going on. They think they do. A lot of people that I speak with and mentor to think they got it all figured out. Mm-hmm. And as a sheepdog, my job is to come in and gently nudge them in the right direction. Because, yes, you could snatch somebody up and go, okay, here's God, here's Jesus, you're living wrong, fix yourself. That doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. I agree.
So if you, just like a herd dog, if you gently nudge people in the direction that they need to go, pretty soon they look up and they go, oh, that's where I'm supposed to be. And they get there themselves, and it means more to that person that they found it on their own. They were helped. They may have been nudged,
right?
But they still found it on their own.
Oh, I like that.
And you didn't beat them over the head with it and tell them this is what you have to do, or you're going to burn in hell forever.
Well, most strong-willed men are going to have a hard time with that whole approach. The other approach.
Oh yeah, no,
opposite of that easy, the gentle nudge.
Yeah.
In the direction.
And sometimes you can nudge them and they don't even know.
Correct. Yeah.
Through. This is the way. Like you see a herd dog. He'll gather them up, and then he'll start walking off in the general direction that he wants everybody to go, and then he looks back going, are y'all coming? Like, come on, let's go. And we're the same ways. As far as men and people, we're the same way. Like we just, sometimes you just you got your head down and you're just grinding and you're just doing the things and doing life, and you don't even realize you're on the not right road. Sometimes you need a sheepdog to come and
Nudge you
over and get you to realize that you're not living right. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. And I mean, I'm
you have brothers that do the same thing for you.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
I think that's a big thing to kind of point out, is that even being a sheepdog, which I don't know if we even have enough, really,
Oh, no.
with that mentality. So very thankful for the ones that are few and far between right now. And hopefully, we can bring some of these newer young men up and into that as it goes. But they're fighting against all odds right now in a society that says it's not okay to be masculine.
Yeah.
There's something toxic about that.
Masculinity.
Which
I identify with toxic masculinity.
I don't even know if that's something that I can totally just bear into and ever agree with. I think we need strong men.
Right.
It's definitely biblical.
Oh, yes, for sure.
So, but I mean, they're trying to get rid of that too. So there's a uphill battle right now. But I think to keep it from being just all negative, there is a movement happening right now that I am seeing among some young men.
Oh, yeah.
That's impressive.
And there's so many outlets now that, I mean, you could get on Facebook or Instagram and you can see all these groups that are trying to empower younger men and empower people that might not have all the opportunities that other people had, and they're doing it basically on the down low, where they're just trying to teach them, quote unquote, teach them how to be better men and better people. But the whole background on that is a biblical movement, and they don't really realize it until they're halfway through, and they're like, oh, this is a God thing. And that works. It works very well, It's just showing people how to be good people.
Yeah, and I think, I was watching Dill. Charlie Kirk broke it down pretty good on a Turning Point conversation, just that it works in general.
Yeah.
Christianity in general, however you want to view that, I'm a believer, you're a believer, but it works. It works for your life. It's undeniable that whenever you're following Christ, that things run and smoother. You realize that you're not necessarily in control of everything.
Right.
Giving it to God, we do have to be listening,
But I never said it was going to be easy.
Oh, I'd say there's definitely nothing.
Never said it was going to be easy.
No,
but it's worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
To me, but yeah.
So I think that as men, and you've talked about it a lot, that we compartmentalize a lot of things that go on, a lot of stresses that we deal with. That can go, all the way across the board. I'm going to let you roll with it.
Right.
But I think we do it on multiple different levels. I think that it causes sickness.
Yeah.
That goes on, and that's why we've lost a lot of good people along the way. And even if they're still here with us, they might not be really here with us.
Yeah.
So
as like I said, I'm 52, so the timeline of when I was brought up, it was the old boys don't cry, suck it up, rub some dirt on it, and I live that way to a point. But there are some things that you just can't do by yourself. You can't, as a 16-year-old kid, you're not equipped to handle all the situations that are going to come up to you. The world is what it is. And if you don't have someone that you can, ask questions like, and not necessarily a mentor, a big brother, a pastor at the church, the basketball coach, that you can go, hey, I've got these thoughts, I've got these feelings, and I don't know what to do. How help me, and that's the hardest thing for most men to do, is to look another man in the face and say, I need help.
Yeah.
Like,
no, absolutely. And I think that's where the sickness lies, that ends up taking a toll on a lot of men.
Yeah. I mean, because we don't want to appear weak, but asking for help to me is a strength, because it shows that you are not quote unquote perfect, that you don't have it all together, that you're not, the image that everybody thinks that you are. It humbles us. It makes us appreciative of the other people that are in our lives. And a lot of times we go through life and we're just, you get up, you go to work, you come home, you eat supper, you take a shower, you go to bed, you get up, and it's just a constant cycle where we get so focused that we don't pay attention to the ones around us.
No, and there's little bitty little details that are missed when you get into that cycle and living your own life. Obviously, the stroke was a game changer for me. It's very humbling. I was forced to rely, and still am, very dependent on help. Still humbling daily.
Yeah.
But I think, having good people to be able to talk to and kind of work through some of that helps. The days I don't, it's pretty heavy, not having somebody. So, I think it's important, and that's the reason why we're doing the podcast. That's the reason, the broken road is something that we all face at one point or another.
Oh, yeah.
And the big thing, Callie puts it on a lot of the branding, is that you're not alone. And I think that's what, kind of the point I'm trying to make with you today, and what I think we need to build a new culture around is in the men's fellowship. And,
Yes.
and being able to let your guard down and just say, hey, this is really me. This is really what's going on. I don't have it all together.
Yep.
I need a hug.
Yeah.
I need some help,
I mean,
which
as
we
iron
weren't really
sharpens iron,
raised that way. That's right. Absolutely. My brother.
And I have a different take on a lot of scripture and how the world sees, biblical things. And, the old saying is iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. When you strike two pieces of iron together, there is always spark. Which means that you're going to have conflict with a brother. But if you continue to work this out, basically you're taking the rough edges off of each other.
I like that.
So that's where the sparks come from is, if I told you, hey, Trent, you can't do this because X, well, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's fine. Go for it. You do you, boo-boo. But I'm trying to help, and that's where the conflict and the spark comes from.
Right.
Because my smooth edge is running across your rough edge, so that spark that flies off is something that's coming off of you, not from me.
Which is pride.
Which is pride. Which is, pride and envy.
Yeah.
All encompass the same thing of, I want to have what that guy has,
Right.
and I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not bad, but it's not helpful.
Right.
So, I mean, we've got to get into a position where if you just had 5 people, true brothers, just 5, think of the power that 5 could do.
And that's really hard to find.
It is. It is because everybody's so busy. They're so busy trying to live a life that they're not living their life.
Oh, yeah.
They can't.
Absolutely.
They can't see past their goals to see that they need that circle, you know. And if you get to a point where you're looking around and you don't have your circle anymore, look inside yourself, because they probably didn't leave you.
Right.
You left them.
Yeah, I saw a thing the other day that said, if I cut you out of my life, you probably handed me the scissors.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And it's not, you know.
And I've been very guilty of that, you know, in the past. I think it's an ongoing thing to try to get better about that. It's not something that happens overnight.
Oh.
You know, I would be very hopeful that other people don't have to have a stroke, you know, to get woke up. But that's what it took for me, I guess.
Right. But yeah, having a group of people that, you know, and it doesn't necessarily have to all be men either. You know, this is Men's Health Awareness Month, but, you know, you might find, you know, a sister in Christ at your church or anywhere that is just a good listener. You know, I mean, she's just one of them that, you know, that you could go in there and you could just, you know, verbally vomit and just lay it all out. And she's going to look at you and she's going to go, okay, baby, I love you anyway.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, and sometimes that's a lot for your actual wife to handle.
Yeah.
You know, that's a whole nother deal. Not that you shouldn't be able to open up to your wife as well, but that's another little sticky point that happens for men, and showing that weakness, you know, in their family when they're supposed to be the strong one. I say weakness, it's not weakness, but it's being vulnerable,
perceived as weakness in society.
And I think it's a lot to put on your partner when you do that. You know, to anybody, any of your friends, but specifically the person that you live with day to day that's born your children, and you know, that person. That's a lot for them to say, oh, and by the way, I also need you to take care of this. Right. Because I'm not right. So having some other brothers or sisters, as you said, to lean on is really important. Yeah. I think it's really important.
It is. Very much so.
So you've done quite a bit of charity work over the years, just since I've known you, and I know that that's gone on before that. Yeah. Can we talk about some of the things you've done? Yeah. I'm interested.
Okay, so currently, we'll go from current to past. Currently, I am working with a nonprofit that's it's called Oscar Mike, the Oscar Mike Foundation. Okay. So, Oscar Mike in military terms means on the move. Basically, they take, and I hate to say broken or disabled, or, you know, they take people, veterans, either military and sometimes law enforcement or firefighter, and if they have something that's changed the scope of their life, a stroke or losing a limb, or you know, the internal struggle and battle that sometimes comes with what you've seen. Yeah. And, you know, the part that I'm playing a part in is we do the obstacle course races. You know, we'll take somebody that's wheelchair bound, and we'll run them through a 5K, a 10K, a 15K obstacle courses, and we push them to be better than before. And I like to think that I live my life this way better than before. The only competition we have is with ourselves. Right. And if you're better than you were the day before, then you win. You know. But Oscar Mike Foundation, they have a wheelchair rugby league. They actually made it to the world finals in wheelchair rugby. A lot of the rugby athletes are Paralympic athletes. I mean, you know, we have Olympians that are on our rugby team. They do skydiving. I shared something with you on Facebook on the Broken Road about the facility that they're trying to build to help out with all of the things. Another foundation that I was part of for a few years, same line, Operation Valor. It was started based off of, a veteran was illegally detained in another country, and the SEAL team came in and rescued him, and so he wanted to give back because, he's a 18, 19-year-old kid, and he's a POW in another country, and he thought he was going to die. And then the SEAL team came in and rescued him, and he wanted to do something more. And so Operation Valor became, we did the Chris Kyle, Chad Littlefield Memorial Run, all based off of obstacle courses. It's because the obstacle courses, you could be really good at running and you're still good at obstacle courses. You could be good at obstacles and still be good at obstacle course races. It's all the struggles, all the challenges, all wrapped up into one. Mm-hmm. Pushing yourself beyond your limits and coming up against a 8 or a 10-foot wall and going, how am I going to get over this? I got no legs. Well, I got legs. You got legs.
Right.
So we're going to take you and we're going to chuck you over the wall.
Right.
And they're like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Who's not going to, and so that's the two biggest foundations. I've done, went with the church and did work in Vietnam, building water systems and things like that. So it's just something that it helps me be a better person to help other people be better people.
So it's something you would suggest, and I would too, heavily, for our audience, men and women both, to get involved in a community or involved in some charity and give back.
100%. 100%. Because, we're not, number one, we're not designed to do everything alone. We are designed to need other people, to lean on other people, to be the people that get leaned on. It's a symbiotic relationship where you have to do this. Well, if you intentionally go out to do good work, and I don't do it so I can have my face on the camera.
Absolutely.
It's not about.
This is a little out of your comfort zone.
It is. It's not about me. When I go in and I put on the Oscar Mike shirt and we're out on the course, I don't exist.
Right.
I am a tool to help that person accomplish their goal. Mm-hmm. That's it. And the weird thing is always along the way, we find somebody else struggling and we stop.
Right.
And we offer assistance. We've got docs, and, they're not doctors, but in military jargon, doc is basically your corpsman, your medic. And, doc, come over here. This guy needs some help.
Right.
And we stop. And so we are, through our actions and through what we do, we're also affecting change in the people that didn't think they were there to be changed.
Right. Yeah, and that parallels with what I think we need to do just in life in general.
Oh, yes.
The same thing you were saying a minute ago, you get wrapped up in this cycle of your life.
The grind.
And the grind, the daily grind, and leave people, there's when you're really not paying attention, you're leaving death and destruction all behind you.
Yeah.
Speaking over death, over people, you don't even realize it, and just not taking the time to realize what's going on around you, and stopping to pick those people up.
Yeah.
And lift them up.
Even just to stop and say, are you okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
We, and it's happened every time we go out on the course. Mm. We had the last one we did in San Antonio, probably a 6'2", heavily tattooed, you could tell that he had a history, and he's sitting there, he's probably a mile from the finish line, and you can just see it. The struggle is real. And so me and Curtis, my son, we stopped and we're like, "Hey bro, are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I may have done something to my Achilles. I don't know if I can." I said, "No, you're gonna finish." He just looked at me and he goes, "What?" I said, "Oh, you're gonna finish." I said, "Who's here with you?" And he's like, "Well, my son and my daughter, my wife." And I said, "So why are you doing this today? Why are you here?" And he goes, "To finish." I said, "Then we're going to make that happen."
That's cool.
And he's like, "What?" I said, "We're going to make that happen." I said, "This is what we do."
Of course, Curtis is a big boy, too.
Oh, yeah. And so Doc's behind us. I called Doc up. I'm like, "Hey, this is what's going on, da-da-da-da-da." And literally there's a picture on one of the chat groups that I'm in of Doc and this cat walking across the finish line, and he's basically using our, Doc as a freaking crutch, but he finished.
Oh, yeah.
But the look on his face went from defeat to victory because we stopped to ask him if he was okay.
Absolutely.
So sometimes it's just the words. Doesn't necessarily have to be the deeds. Sometimes it's just the words. Small words of encouragement. Why'd you start this? Don't stop. Don't quit. Keep going. Keep pushing. Be who you set out to be.
Yeah, and he'll carry that with him. It's not like just those words will be stuck with him. Most likely we'll pass that torch on to somebody else along the line. And that's the cool thing, I think, about charity work and giving back is that you are hopefully growing, a new branch on a tree that's been there, or building new growth in people that didn't think that there was anything new left to be done.
Right.
Just kind of going through the motions. And even that guy, I don't know him, but he might have needed that win that day more than anybody knew.
Right.
I
I don't know. I didn't ask his struggle.
Right.
It
wasn't important at that time. That's right.
What he had done and where he'd been had no bearing on what I was trying to accomplish for him.
Right.
Didn't matter. But other people would look at him and, he's one of those guys, if you just looked at him and he was walking down the street, you might walk on the other side of the street.
Right.
He wasn't he was a legit dude. You could tell he'd been some places.
Right.
And that's what I try to instill in, we talked about raising up new sheepdogs, and I feel that I'm doing this with my son. Curtis, he'll be 21. That's the goal.
Right.
Is to leave behind something that truly matters.
Right. You can leave a legacy of money and fame and riches, but that stuff,
when it goes away.
It does. You cannot take it with you.
Nope.
And I say it all the time, but that
never
was,
seen a U-Haul at a funeral home.
Throw money at it and fix death. It's just nothing that fixes that. That's
can't
permanent.
Take it with you.
Yeah,
but a legacy of kindness, of compassion for others. That's something.
Absolutely.
That's something that is different.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't always this guy. I've had an opportunity to speak at several, church events, and I've never claimed to be a perfect person. I have never thought I was a perfect person. I am broken. I am damaged. I was a not good person until I realized it's not about me.
Right.
And so I fixed myself by helping other people fix themselves. You know, it's iron sharpening iron.
Yeah.
You know,
This therapy. People. This is therapy for me.
Right.
Coming back off of it. I want to help others. It's like it's the only thing I really want to do.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's really important to me right now. And I keep bringing that up about the young men and women.
Yep.
Keep focusing more on men just because of the month, but it's men and women both. You know, right now it's getting to the point where my prayer list is longer, and the people that are in need of stuff that we're going to do on the broken road is more and more. And we keep getting reached out by more people and saying, hey, can you help us here and there? And we're not even live yet as far as being able to take donations, which hopefully is coming soon. But we're just having to go through the motions with our fine government institution. And they don't like giving things away for free.
No, everything costs something with the government.
That's right. So that process is kind of slow. But, you know, I speak volunteers in volumes because I'm needing it now, you know. And as much as I want to be able to say, yeah, I can cover a lot of stuff, just last week I got a text message from somebody that's in a group with some people that I'm in, and they were struggling. And this is somebody that I normally send a message to every day and just said, hey, how you doing? How's it going? And had missed a couple weeks, not intentionally, just got busy.
Life happens.
With life. And that got dropped through the cracks, but just that quick. You know, a brother or sister has fallen and needs help to be picked up. And I'm having to learn to, it's just in my nature to want to try to do everything by myself or do everything myself. But I'm having to learn to reach out and help. Callie's going to go and sit with somebody in the hospital later this week that's alone. Has reached out for help. These are the things that we need. Yep. These are the things that people need to be going out and doing. Same as the Oscar Mike Foundation. There are multiple different things that people can donate their time to. That's free. Yeah. That's just your time and effort. And I mean, man, it's more rewarding than anything I've ever done in my whole life. So, well, I mean, I highly recommend trying it out.
Yeah, you know? I mean, to a lot of people, and I'm gonna steal this quote from somebody else, but to a lot of people, they spell love Time. Time.
Oh, yeah.
Just sitting with someone.
Yeah. You can't buy time.
You can't. And once it's gone, you can't get it back. So what are you going to do with the time you've given? You can be self-centered and focus on yourself, or you can do something for somebody else.
I think that's a good spot to also mention that, that giving needs to be very free. Like, there are plenty of people that are running nonprofits, but they're not running nonprofits because of the right reasons. They're actually
quite a few.
Yes, and they run off of platforms that they know tug at people's heartstrings, and people give the money away instantly, and then they find out later that this organization made $1 million but only gave about 1,000 out.
Yes.
I think that's something really important to watch out for as well. With what you're doing. Obviously, donating time's a little bit different.
Time is time, but the financials,
you need
that's
both.
A lot of it. You got to run an effective, and I hate to say charity, but to run an effective group that is a positive impact takes money. You got to have money. I mean, when churches, they usually 2 or 3 times a year that pastor, he hates doing it, but he's got to do that old tithing, sermon.
Right.
Well,
it's funny you say that because we were just talking about that yesterday.
And then so that tithing sermon, guess you have the smallest amount of people show up if they know that's the topic.
Right. Well, and then you look at I don't want to mention any names, but you look at some of these facilities and what it takes, and places that there's really a movement and the Spirit's moving in these places. They need money, but tithing is kind of the same these days as talking about sin. Nobody wants to talk about sin. Nobody wants to look at themselves. So that's part of my daily grind now.
Yeah.
Is seeing that for what it is, and doing my best to keep myself humble.
Yeah.
Keep my eye on the prize, so to speak. Keep focused on the mission.
Right.
Which is to try to reach as many people as we can and help pick them up along the way, and hopefully make sheepdogs or ambassadors out of them to pick up the next person, because you can't do it all on your own.
No. And when I'm gone, I'm gone.
Right.
And the only thing that you can hope for is, at the end of the day, did I make an impact? Mm-hmm. Did I help make someone better? Did I help someone's situation? That I don't want to hear, at the end of it all, oh well, he tried.
Right.
That would suck. That would just suck.
He gave it a good effort.
No, he got an attaboy. I want people to go, he touched my life.
Absolutely.
He helped me be a better person. He, and I want to hear it now. I don't care. But I hope that when it's all said and done and the good Lord calls me home, that I made a difference in the world, even if it's just the world of Stephenville, Texas. That's good enough. That's good enough. And that's all, anybody could hope for. I don't want to have, the mansion on the hill. I don't want to have, the 357 acres. I don't need that.
Right. I don't think there's anything wrong with having that.
No.
But there is.
But I don't need it.
Right. And it's not for everybody. And I think that really need to take a good look when you get to that level of success of, what am I doing to give back? Mm-hmm. Am I really, how much does any one man need?
Right.
First of all, and then as far as generational wealth goes and families, obviously it's great. You want your kid to have better opportunities than you had. All those things, but I feel like some of that stuff comes naturally with just the heart of giving and doing that some of those riches, the true riches, are accumulated in a family and passed down, I think is what you're basically saying.
Yeah. And then and am I being a good steward with what God has blessed me with?
That's exactly what I was trying to get at, because I don't know if it's chapter 4 or chapter 6 of Matthew, but it talks about that it's very hard for a rich man to get into heaven.
Yeah.
And that the first will be last and the last will be first. And I think that just has to do with humility and your
mindset.
Your mindset. It really does. And I think it's really hard. I think I felt it personally. I've spoke about it on other podcasts, but I felt like I was getting pretty close to a certain level of success with money. But I realized really quickly that that really couldn't save me or do anything.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, I know that that's neither Amber or River really cared about that. They just wanted me to be healthy and be there with them. And then could have given away, any of the things that I had built up that I thought were so important.
Oh, yeah. Because I guarantee you that if you'd have asked them, this is what you have. I mean, here's Trent in the hospital. If I could make him better, would you give me all that?
Yeah.
I would have gave it away.
When you've been, my friend and brother through years of that build up in the business, and kind of came in midways of the hard push when I was really like, okay, we're about to just like full send it, and help me in those years to get there. But I know you saw me step over dead men and kind of push my way towards what I did I always tried to be giving, but I know I was a pretty hard person to be around, and pretty self-centered. I mean,
Sometimes,
you don't have to just beat me down with being totally honest about that, but I do, in that time of recovery, had plenty of time to reflect and think about how special some of my friendships were and are, and people that God's put in my life for a reason, and that are still here. So, I appreciate you very much for being that person to me.
Right. And like I said, I'm not the one that tries to toot my own horn at all.
No.
This is speaking about all of this. I have no problem, obviously, speaking about things that I'm passionate about, that I put out. But when it comes to that inter-reflection and vocalizing it out loud, I'm out. Yeah. I don't want to talk about that because it's not it's who I used to be. I back in the day, I'd be like, doo, 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 I'm the best. Doo, doo, doo. Yeah. Watch me roll. But I'm not that guy. I can't.
I'll toot your horn. That's why you're here today. You're a special person to me. I know you do a lot of people's good service and take care of a lot of people around you. So thank you for your giving heart.
I try.
I think we're getting pretty close to wrapping it up, but I did have here on my notes that we just kind of went over, but I think we can spend a little more time on it, that I do consider you as part of my family. And I think we've kind of did it, but one more time, how important is the support community we are building, in your opinion, and how can we make it better?
So, to me, you have those people that you talk to all the time, and you just expect them to be there. Well, what happens if they go quiet? Don't let the quiet ones fall away. Reach out. And you talked about this the other day, a person in one of y'all's groups, just you text them all the time, and you didn't think about it. And it wasn't intentional. But as soon as you realize that person is gone quiet or gone silent, the first thing you should do is reach out. Because they might be in a spot. They might be, because as we use the tools that God gave us to help other people, a lot of times they see us as just the guy that fixes things. He's just that guy. He's the fixer guy. He can fix your house. He can fix your car. He can fix you. Well, sometimes the fixer guy
needs some fixing.
Needs some fixing of their own.
Yeah. True.
But we're so accustomed to helping and doing and going and being that we really don't even realize that we're struggling ourselves.
Yeah, until it's too late.
It's too late.
Yeah.
Project 22, huge thing in the military organization, and the numbers have skewed a lot since that foundation was started. But, they were saying 22 veterans a day, end it because they don't have a purpose, or they don't have their community. And that's another thing with, the Oscar Mike Foundation is, if you have been in a position where you're military or you're law enforcement, and all of a sudden something happens and you're no longer able to do that task. Your sense of purpose, your sense of worth is all gone. You no longer have a mission, right? And so by building these communities, we're giving them purpose. We're giving them a mission. We're giving them a new family that will help them realize that they still have worth.
Right.
And it's so hard to admit that you're broken sometimes and that you need help, that you have to have people around you that can look at you and go, something's not right.
Right.
I'm going to go talk to this person. And I try to be in tune, and I'm a people watcher. Mm-hmm. I observe people. I also part of the Sheepdog thing.
Right.
It is, you're constantly watching. Well, if you notice the same guy every Sunday at church, or even not at church, I mean, y'all go to the same restaurant every Wednesday,
right.
or every Tuesday, and y'all are friendly, and y'all talk, hey,
coworker, anybody, somebody that you spend time around,
and then you notice something's different. Why do we not go and say, hey, bro, what's going on?
Right.
You good? What's going on? Well, why do you ask? Some people get defensive. Well, I just noticed you're a little off. I mean, I'm not trying to, get in your business, but are you okay? Wow. Yeah. To that person, that might be, the thing, the word that they needed, how many times somebody that's struggling is screamed and cried out to God and said, give me something. Mm-hmm. Just something that shows that people actually care.
Right. Yeah, and to see that, I mean, you do have to have your eyes open. You got to be watching, and you really got to be tuned up.
Yeah.
I mean, in tune with what's going on and with the Spirit, and just know when those times are there, and be able to see that.
Yeah.
Because, like we said, the daily grind,
just get into it, and you're just
comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And
yeah,
that's the biggest tool he has, is to keep us distracted from the other things that are going on around us.
The struggle is real.
So you've got to stay tuned in.
Yeah. But that's part of the sheepdog mentality.
Right.
Is to observe. Don't have to do anything. Just watch.
So we need more. We need more coming up.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm training them up. I am.
I know you are.
Sometimes they don't know they're being trained, but when you sit back and you watch your son at 20 years old go out of his way to ask somebody if they're okay, if they need help, dude, that'll get you. I did that.
Well, I know we had questions along the way about where Curtis was going to end up, but I think that young man has showed up and out and done a really great job with his
God,
life.
And he is, man.
It's cool. It's cool to see that.
It's always good to see positive change.
Oh yeah.
We got 2 older kids that they were on the struggle bus. They live on the homestead. They're trying to find their way, almost 30, 30 years old and almost 30, and they didn't live right, and they're trying, and you keep trying, I'll keep offering.
Yeah. Yeah, and you and Christy are trying to be there for them without being enablers, and I know that's a hard thing too.
And it's hard. I mean,
you're making sure that they're not on the street, but at the same time, you can't give them all the comforts that you wish you could.
Oh, no. Yeah.
It's not
comfort. Y'all done wasted that time.
Right. Exactly. So I know it's easier for you to do that than it is Christy, because she has that nurturing spirit in her.
Oh, she's a giver.
And I can just imagine that that's not the easiest thing to do, but it's very good that y'all are able to do that. That's awesome, and I think that has to do with kind of like figuring out what's the most important thing in your life, and where do you spend your money and where do you spend your time.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, I think, is there anything else that you kind of want to hit on that we missed and didn't go over? I mean, I know you and I could sit here and visit probably the rest of the day.
I have no clue. Like, I think we went from,
I don't even know how far we've
from A to Z and plus and minus. I think we were very random and very chaotic, but in the same time, when we started, we prayed for God to guide our words and guide our thoughts. So I figure if God wanted us to talk about it, we'd already done it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we'll see how it goes from here on out.
Hey.
Got quite a few people. Dennis is supposed to be coming on.
Nice.
Hopefully.
Miss that guy.
Yeah, just me too. Trying my best to get some. I don't even know that we'll get all these out in the month of June. I'm going to try to get as many out as I can, but I got a pretty good lineup of strong men that I know in my life, and I'm hoping through the month that we can, lift up and I don't know, put some new faces on the map, for it to help and get out there and do some stuff.
I mean, and it's men's health doesn't just talk about your physical being, because most men's struggles are internal.
Exactly. No,
I mean, yours became physical through a stroke.
But my deficits now are more mental anyways. I mean, that's
what I'm saying is you got the hard hit that a lot of us don't get.
Yeah.
For you to stop and realize that the race you were racing was not going to be the win you thought it was going to be.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, absolutely.
And so now, I've used the philosophy for years and it ties into the broken road. God gave us all free will to do anything that we want. And throughout life, you come to a crossroads and you look down the road and you look down the road and you choose a path. Right or wrong, that's the path you chose. And you're going along and you realize, man, this is not the right road, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if you have just the mustard seed of faith, you turn around and God's right there.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is say yes. And instantly, things are going to change. It's not going to be easy because you still got to get off the road you're on.
Oh, yeah.
But with Christ, there's a shortcut to get back on the right road.
Right.
Because if you tried to fix it yourself, it's a long way around.
Yeah, well, you're probably never going to really get it fixed.
But we try.
Multiple times. Yeah. Yes.
But we try.
I think that's a good place to end it right there. Well, thank you. Tune in, subscribe, like, share, all of those good things. Let's get the word out. Until next time. Peace.
Peace out, Girl Scout.